specialist for MFA Incorporated, and we're out here in Dade County today talking with producer Drexel Atkinson to look at his operation. He's been installing natives here the last probably 5 to 6 years, kind of incorporate them around his farm. And here the last few years he's been working with the Conservation Department PLC to incorporate more acres into native grass into his rotation grazing system. And they've kind of come across a system that really speeds up the process of incorporating these natives, getting them established. You know, the biggest concern that most producers have is that loss of production in that year that native grass is getting established. And so these guys have kind of come across a method that mitigates some of that, and I thought I'd just kind of show you all today what's going on here at the farm, and hopefully maybe somebody can use this to help with their farming operations. So Drexel, I appreciate you coming out today and being with us and talking a little bit about kind of what you got going on here at the farm. If you wouldn't mind, kind of walk us through the process and the difference between the two fields here that we're standing next to, and maybe talk about some benefits on the management that you guys are doing here to get these natives established.
Sure, Landry. So first I'd like to just bring your attention to the field that we're standing in, and this is a stand of Big Blue and Indian grass that was drilled May 14th of 2019. So it's just a little over a year old, and we'll be grazing it soon. So this is the field we started with last year, and now as we look over here to the west, this is what we started with. So it's just a fescue field, and even has a little rougher area here that's just in front of us. But we started out by concentrating the animals on the fescue. We've learned that if we get it grazed down fairly tight, the drill performs better. So we want a pretty uniform grazing on that, and I don't mind abusing this fescue that we're going to spray and kill, because we're going to spray and kill it. So I'm not worried about how I treat it. I'm basically wanting to prepare a seed bed. But the nice thing about it is that while we're grazing this, and I'm going to use this term overgrazing, while we are overgrazing this field, last year we overgrazed the field that we're standing in, the rest of the farm is getting a break. So the process, whenever we get this drilled, that's when we cease using it. But up until the day that we get the grass drilled, we're able to put a lot of use on this field and get a lot of days of grazing and stockpile, if you will, the rest of the farm to make up for the absence of this field during the rest of the season. That's exactly what we did here last year. We got about 43 days of grazing out of this early on in the spring. This spring is a little different. All springs are. This spring this spring in this field here, we're not going to get quite as many days of grazing. We're probably 2 weeks later this year than what we normally are with just the grass growth and the coolness. But we concentrated the animals here right up until the day that just about 2 days, I think it was May 12th, we took the cattle off, and then on the 14th of May, we put our herbicide on, and we drilled all within just hours of one another. I sprayed it, and as soon as I was done with the spraying operation, putting the herbicide on, then I came right back in and I drilled the warm season grass. And then from that point on, May 14th, it has not had anything done with it, except for late summer. It did have a broadleaf weed herbicide put on. So we will do the same thing here on this field. It has been used fairly hard this spring. I will come back in here again and concentrate the animals in here for an extended grazing period to get this grazed down fairly tight and uniform. I'll remove the cows, I'll put on my herbicide, and I'll drill my seed all within just a day or two of one another. The rest of the farm gets that, it gets grown up a little bit, it gets stockpiled a little, and yes, the forage is a little more mature than what we would like for it to be. but it does a good job of holding the animals and making up for not being able to utilize this field for the rest of the year. And as you said, I think that one of the things that is a real stumbling block or a hurdle that we have to get over is that time frame that we don't get to graze on these converting fields, on these fields that were converted. So I feel like that the process that we have kind of, I'm not going to say perfected, but we've gotten pretty good with, is graze it down tight, spray it, drill it. I don't feel like I lose a lot of production. I have not had to reduce my herd size during this conversion process, and this will be the third farm that we've worked on. Each farm has its own herd, and we have not had to destock or go down in our numbers in order to implement this conversion process.
Well, and I think that's a good point to talk about as well, and you hit on it, is, you know, for some folks that may not know, is that a typical conversion and a lot of people still do it, and I'm guilty as well, is essentially getting an early spring herbicide application on that fescue, you know, in March, April, as soon as it starts to green up. Well, you know, we get that spring herbicide application, and then that farm sits dormant with nothing growing on it until we come back in and drill our natives. And so with what you're doing, you're essentially allowing us to utilize that field like we normally would, you know, and actually probably utilize a little bit more because we're grazing it hard, we're grazing it tight, and really you're not losing anything. Like you said, you're not having to limit your herd, you're not destocking some things so that you can allow this native grass to come on. And so anyways, I appreciate you talking with us today. I think it's a benefit. If that's one hurdle that we can get over and show producers is not losing those acres that you're converting, I think is a big benefit to producers. And so I appreciate you talking with us today and kind of showing us what you got going on.
Yep, enjoyed it.
All right, well, thanks for being with us, and look for more videos to come.